We're happy to be with you guys today to take a few minutes and to talk about our recent work with Saint-Gobain, as well as what we've been doing as a team to use the built environment as a healthcare intervention, and then how what we're doing as a team intersects with what our friends at Saint-Gobain are doing. So for us, we're a healthcare company at the heart. That's what we are, and we're focused on developing, building, and then operating skilled nursing and rehab facilities. Because Joe and myself are a part of a design and construction team that is housed within a healthcare company, we're at a unique intersection between those two disciplines, between the discipline of design and construction and the discipline of healthcare. And being at this unique intersection, it gives us a very unique viewpoint, so to speak, on the subject of healthy buildings. Now, our vision is to be innovators in the care that we provide and the work culture we create and the partnerships that we form. And then our mission is to provide the highest quality of care and services, assuring human dignity and quality of life for our patients, for their families, and for our employees. So the reason why I mention our mission and vision is because they're inextricably linked to the why behind the recent work that we've been doing with Saint Gobain. What I mean by that is in our mission statement, we talk about providing the highest quality of care. So providing the highest quality of care means ensuring that the environment in which that care is provided is the highest quality environment. So another way to say this is that we feel that the built environment in and of itself is an integral part of the healthcare that we provide for our patients and is essential in producing those healthy outcomes. Often, when you think about that subject of healthcare, the term healthcare, your thoughts immediately go to the patients, the medicine, the doctors, the nurses. And we can't deny that these things are all essential parts of a healthcare system. However, it also can't be denied that the building itself is an essential component of that healthcare system. That system can't be completely healthy or be a complete healthcare system unless the building where the healthcare is being provided is also healthy. Now, I mentioned that a part of our vision is to innovate, to be innovators in the care that we provide. And being innovators in the care that we provide, it translates to the way that we approach design and construction. We want to be innovative in the way that we design our buildings, in the way that we build our buildings, and then in the vendors that we partner with to do that and the relationships that we form. And that's really what led us to our relationship with Saint Gobain. We realized very early on that Saint Gobain has access to innovative products such as SageGlass that allow us to solve unique environmental challenges within our buildings and then to improve the occupant experience. For example, one of the challenges that we face in skilled nursing facilities, in operating skilled nursing facilities, is the varying levels of acuity. In one room in the building, you might have a patient who's rehabbing from an injury, but who is cognitively intact and quite ambulatory. And this patient might be able to make their own way around the building and to enjoy the amenities, to enjoy the courtyard, to enjoy the outside of the building. But then right down the hall, you might have another patient who's perhaps up in age, maybe 90 years old or 90 plus years old. Maybe they're bed bound, maybe they have dementia. And really, the only interaction that they get with the outside world is the view out of their bedroom window. So it's our job then to make sure that that's a really nice window with a really clear, unobstructed, and that they can look out that window without any issues with thermal discomfort or glare ruining their experience. So this is the type of challenge that we've been able to meet through the use of sage glass and through the use of electrochromic glazing. Now, because we not only design and build the buildings, but we also operate them, we have even more of a vested interest in the whole building life cycle. Not only do we care about how the products we use perform and how much they cost, but we care about how long they last how they fail, and then when they fail, how does this impact operations? So from this standpoint, we take a building science approach to analyzing the various building systems, from the waterproofing to the acoustics. We want to base our design and our construction techniques on evidence and on research. So again, Saint-Gobain's team in this partnership has been extremely helpful to us in this regard. Being able to tour the headquarters there in Malvern and to see how the products are performing, to hear from the building occupants what the end user experience has been like with the various products, and then also to get the candid feedback regarding what mistakes were made, what products didn't perform as expected, and maybe what lessons they learned along the way in using these various products. I'm sure you'd agree that it's much more fun to learn from the mistakes of other people than to make those mistakes yourself. So because Saint-Gobain as a vendor has access to these multiple product lines, they are well positioned to really help us examine the synergy between these products and materials, and then to specify materials that will work in harmony to create this healthy building environment that we're trying to get to. So this afternoon, we'd like to take you on a journey through this process on two of our recent projects. If you'll notice in our slide there, the background of our slide is showing a picture of a human genome. Now, a genome is an organism's complete set of genetic instructions, and each genome contains all of the information needed to build that organism and to allow it to grow and develop. Just like each body has a genome, we believe that each building has a genome. We lean on our design team to develop that genome for our buildings, that set of instructions for our buildings, so that the end product is a healthy building with an excellent occupant experience. So now our senior architect, Joe Cable, is going to lead us on this journey.
Thank you, John. As we've been speaking, a healthy building means healthy occupants, and we firmly believe that everything we can do to have a healthy building will create a better environment and a better experience for the occupant, whether that be healthcare or any building for that matter. Today, we're going to talk about a number of considerations that we go through in our process to create a healthy building. Aesthetics, natural light, biophilic design, indoor air quality, acoustics, and accessibility. In our particular business, we're a design build firm. In the traditional setup, you would have all of these components, but in our situation, we have everything you see on the screen in-house. Our ownership is part of our team. The design component is part of our team. We construct the building. It's all part of our team. And so thus is the operations to create the building. And so we are speaking and working in this cycle on a regular basis to make sure that we have the smartest building possible going forward, and that it is, in fact, as innovative as the industry will allow. We have a couple of case studies today. One is a more traditional facility with a traditional look. On the left-hand side is a rendering of the new portion of the building. The middle photo is the existing aerial with the portion at the bottom that's going to be demolished, and then the right-hand photo is aerial of the addition. It's a traditional look, traditional addition to an older building. Our second case study is a brand new prototype facility on a clean site, about a 70,000 square foot facility, which is both long-term care and rehabilitation. And this is the facility that we are using all of our innovative techniques to be able to bring to fore as we designed and construct this facility. When we speak about aesthetics, we try to think about all of the senses of a human being as they move through the facility or sit within a space. The sight, what you see where you are, or as you are walking around the facility, what you may be smelling, what are those, that sense, how does that help in the integration of the facility to be able to make it feel better. A lot of times you hear the term, I can't see what I'm doing because the music is too loud. Well, it's kind of the same way with smell. You don't think about that until you smell something that you're not supposed to be smelling in a particular space. And so we're trying to make sure that that all the senses are actually thought about, at least when we're going from one space to the next. Touch is also a big thing, especially in our particular field, to make sure that everything has the correct tactile surfaces and materials. And we think about that as we go throughout not only the private, but also the public spaces as well. Hearing, we'll go through the acoustics of the building and show you how we deal with that part of the building. And taste, which is really more having to do with the smell and the dining and that sort of thing. But it all works together, and it's an integral part of all of these pieces put together to be able to get an innovative product in the end. This is a base floor plan of the first floor and second floor below. In the green area in the center is the central core to kind of give you an idea of the building. Behind that central core, we have dark green, which is a conservatory, and then the light green is a divided dining area between rehabilitation and long-term care. And then the yellow area around the outside in bright yellow is the resident rooms with facilities for laundry and kitchen and so forth in the back. This gives you an idea of our innovative methods to, as it relates to the exterior of the building on all four facades. Of course, in most jurisdictions, they have some requirements as it relates to how the building looks, but we tried to be as creative as we could be while also adhering to some of the norms of a particular locality. So this is a video to give you an idea of the building as we go through our analysis and the other parts. This piece we're moving through here is the residential wing. We have a number of courtyards. This three-story space is the therapy wing. This is the entrance that we're passing through. And then on the left-hand side with the name is a upper courtyard for our staff. As we move above more into the aerial mode, you can see, again, additional courtyards, and then the wing to the left. Then the building, part of the building in the foreground upstairs is the staff area. Downstairs is the administrative wing. And then as we zoom around, we're getting back to the back portion of the building where we see the lower dining hall, and then more immediate courtyard. You'll notice that there's glazing around all of these to be able to have light coming in and to have the landscaping to come into the space as well. So that's a complete interactive event for the residents. And then as we get to the back portion, these are more of the service areas where we have most of the interaction back and forth. And then as we will roll back around towards the other side, it's basically a mirrored concept where we get back into it, the corner with the two-story space, and then resident rooms with a cupola on either side. One thing that helped us with our innovation as far as the exterior was concerned was, again, the particular townships that allowed us the opportunity to be creative, but within the parameters of their requirements as well. We're coming back to the beginning of that particular show. This is an interior view of the same building coming from the front entry. If you'll notice the volumes of space, that allows us opportunity to create spaces above and beyond what you would typically see in this type of a facility. We've used natural materials and have integrated our different spaces to be able to talk to the type of space that we have, in addition to what the needs of the resident may be. We roll into this conservatory area. You'll see there's a lot of greenery, which helps bring the outside in. There's a lot of glass in these areas, which allows daylight to flow on a regular basis. And then in the evenings, we will have light up to a certain hour of the evening to have continuous flow on the outside and when weather permits, but also to have a view from the inside and not just the other buildings. As you notice, we also have some water features, which we'll talk about a little bit later as it relates to biophilic design, which is basically bringing landscaping and the outdoor environment into the space. We spent a large amount of time on landscaping and on the design of these courtyards because we feel it's very helpful in the healing process, keeping all of these areas open as possible allows us that opportunity. We're going crossways now down the hallway and into the therapy gym. You'll be able to see the large open expanses into their own private courtyard and then into the exercise area. There's a second floor track looking down into the area, and so it's kind of a visual connection between the two. Then we go through those double doors back into our entry foyer and entry area and atrium. So with that tour of the building, I'd like to go then back into the particular themes that we talked about at the beginning. The first one here is talking about natural light. And we had talked about, John had talked about earlier about SageGlass and how Saint-Gobain has helped us. They went through an analysis with us of the glazing and glazing challenges that we may have as it relates to lighting from the sun. And these are the particular areas of the building in which we had that analysis completed. This gives you that idea of where we were looking for analysis. So Saint-Gobain helped us understand and realize through analysis of the sun angles where it would be best to have glazing and how that would affect our environment and the human experience within the different spaces, not only the sun angle, but also the environment based on the volume and size. We went through different times of year so that we could understand that as well. And in the end, after we looked at all of these ideas and options, we ended up with a solution that was different than our initial thought. And that's where the real value of this comes in, to where we worked with the group at Saint-Gobain on a pretty regular basis to understand in a very scientific way what our challenge was, so that we could actually provide the right solution and not just a catch-all for every portion of glass in a part of that building. This shows the visual analysis within the lobby, showing the different types of light and how the glazing affects the environment. This is north facing, and so it's affecting the building much differently than in other areas of the building. For instance, the dining, which is south facing, and the conservatory. This is an example of what happens when we don't have glazing control. And we definitely are trying to take care of that situation. And then we went through an analysis. Saint-Gobain went through an analysis with us to understand a standard room and how the glazing works independently with blinds and then with the SageGlass. Again, that idea. And then this is analysis of the dining area in the back, that vaulted area, and how the sun from the south, which is to the left as you're seeing the slides, how that encroaches into the building over the course of the day, and the course of the calendar, what's happening in the spring, summer, and fall, as well as the winter. So that helps us give us the tools that we needed to move forward and make the correct decisions as it relates to lighting in the space. Our next portion is biophilic design. So what exactly is biophilic design? It is a concept used within the building industry to increase occupant connectivity to the natural environment through the use of direct nature, indirect nature, and place conditions. What is the importance of this design for us? Well, for the occupant, it reduces stress. It improves cognitive function and creativity. It improves the well-being of the occupant, and it also expedites healing. So how do we implement this into our building? Well, first we use glazing to bring the outside landscape into the space. We use open and airy spaces with room for interaction or contemplation. We use green walls as an interior art, as we saw in the video with the green walls in the conservatory. We use water features to ease the senses. The trickling water is always a soothing sound. And we use various landscaped courtyards with different themes. They're based on the type of occupant and who's using those particular spaces. We have a long-term courtyard. We have a rehabilitation courtyard, and we also have a dedicated therapy courtyard that we use for the occupants during their stay. Now we move on to indoor air quality and what we do to help in that regard. In these days, we are all about COVID-19. Everyone's very educated, the public, about everything that's happened during this pandemic in our country and in the world. But we have to drill down into our own facilities and how we can maintain the air quality in our own facilities. Air change is always important to make sure we have the best quality, the best number of air changes based on the particular type of occupant. We can also isolate, but also maintain that quality of air through zoning, depending on whether it's the type of occupant, or even if we have to isolate part of the facility for COVID or other considerations. Another piece that we use is needlepoint bipolar ionization. And this basically, this system is basically used as an air scrubber, if you will. In laboratory tests, this system inactivates up to 99.99% of SARS-CoV-2 in 30 minutes. Due to COVID-19, as I said before, we have all been educated about this unseen challenge over time. The smaller particulates of these viruses are the most dangerous, as they can bypass more general attempts at remediating them. So this particular process with the ionization emits billions of ion particles into the airstream. These in effect inactivate pathogens and cause particles to clump together, thus allowing them to be filtered more easily. We feel like that this system will be effective in fighting COVID-19 as well as all other airborne conditions. And again, because our company and our design team act more as a laboratory, this is an ongoing experiment and an ongoing design challenge, as well as all of these items are, that we will be continuing to monitor through the construction of this facility and upcoming facilities as we begin to learn more about new materials coming in, as well as new diseases and or challenges that we have with the air quality and airborne challenges. Our next area is acoustics and how we develop sound strategies to make sure that that this facility is working properly. The considerations for acoustics, our goal is to control the buildup of activity noise and promote a comfortable environment for the occupants. Intelligible speech, speech privacy, and also being able to hear for a person who is hearing impaired. The considerations that we addressed in our particular facility, I won't read all of these to you, but they talk specifically to the different functions in the different rooms and what the requirements were. While we're going through those requirements, we also went through requirements and recommendations as it related to the WELL standard. We also went through requirements as it relates to the LEED standard. Speaking of LEED, we will be LEED certifying this project, and it's looking good that we will be LEED silver at the end of the day. We're looking at the STC ratings, rating requirements and recommendations so that we can select the correct combination of materials in the different spaces. We looked at the absorption and reverberation of the different occupancies so that we could best do everything that we could to try to take care of that particular challenge, especially in the larger. A therapy gym is a large space, large volume, and so is the entry. We also looked at the acoustics as it relates to the mechanical systems and the background noise that they create. And so we're trying everything we can to make sure to mitigate noises that we do not want to have in our space. And then once we put together all of that information, then we put together the material list and the combination of finished materials to be able to provide the correct amount of acoustical remediation to be able to provide the right sound levels based on all of our above criteria. Here again is the therapy gym and the particular challenges we have, because we have two spaces with a hole in the middle of the second space. And so that provided an interesting challenge for our acoustical engineers. Accessibility is our other area, which is a given in all buildings, but especially in a healthcare and a long-term care facility. we have to be cognizant of that in every way. In this facility, we designed for continuous flow, where we don't have to have ramps or large areas from which to be able to be accessible. We've anticipated environmental interaction from the perspective of the occupant beyond the ADA requirements. So we've taken, what the law requires, and then we've gone above and beyond to make sure that the person in a wheelchair or a person on a cane or a person who has impairments is able to experience the space to its optimum. We need to remember the senses when designing for accessibility, and that goes back to our original aesthetic design criteria. And then cross-sensory evaluations of the spaces are important. What I mean by cross-sensory, meaning when you combine one or more senses together, what is that combination of sensory experiences, and how can we best make that experience an effective one based on the type of space that you're in. So I can't emphasize enough how our product manufacturer collaboration has helped us into being innovative with our selections, with our volume of spaces, and with our spaces in general. Saint-Gobain has been an integral partner from the inception of our project as it related to analyzing the types of spaces we had, the types of materials that we used, and how we could create the spaces that we wanted. Just like our design group, they have a library for innovation that has been very helpful for us. They have been a resource for existing technologies, as well as a resource for the research of new and upcoming products that can be helpful for us as we move forward, as we start to have data and analytics to understand what we need to do to move forward in new buildings. The economies of scale, as we use their products collectively for a healthy building system, but we're for a healthy building system, not just for separate healthy building materials. That's been very helpful for us to understand how all the materials work together, not just an individual material. Healthy buildings, they maximize occupant comfort. They create a healing environment for our occupants. By continuously monitoring the progress of a building through its lifestyle, our buildings into the future. John?
Thanks, Joe, for walking us through that journey on those projects. So as you guys can tell from that summary that Joe just gave, we are very excited about designing and building healthy buildings. Joe mentioned an interesting thing in his summary. He mentioned going beyond just what's required. So, just doing code minimum, that's one approach to building a building. We don't believe it's the best approach to get the product that we want. So for us, when the building is completed and when we receive that certificate of occupancy, that's really just the beginning. We live with the buildings that we design and build. So for the next 50 plus years, we're operating that building. And with that in mind, we're interested in monitoring the post-construction performance of the buildings that we put together. So for these two projects that we've discussed today, we plan on employing advanced commissioning, occupant surveys, feedback systems, along with working with vendors such as Saint-Gobain, and then also with our local utility providers, in order to monitor and study the various healthy building interventions that we've incorporated into these designs. So that way we can get the feedback to know, hey, are we hitting the target that we've set? Are we accomplishing our goal of truly putting together a healthy building? And as I mentioned before, we'd much rather learn from the mistakes of others than from our own mistakes, but we certainly would be remiss if we didn't take away lessons learned from our own mistakes as well. So that post-construction commissioning process is really going to help us to do that. Then what we'll do with that data, we'll measure and correlate each of these healthy building components with a corresponding healthcare outcome. So for example, we're going to measure the use of SageGlass and the availability of natural light in our therapy gym against the recovery rates of patients using that therapy gym when compared with patients using similar facilities that don't have that same access to natural light. And this is just one example, but there are many additional healthcare outcomes that we feel we can measure and correlate to determine the true impact of the built environment on our building occupants. So, for example, recidivism, the outbreak and spread of viruses such as COVID-19, the length of stay for each patient, med pass errors, employee sick days, all of these things in some form or fashion can be correlated and can be linked to the built environment. So by identifying these links and then showing measured improvement, it's our hope that we'll be able to better make the business case for healthy buildings project over project, in addition to continuing to refine and perfect our healthy design and construction model. So we appreciate your time today. We appreciate you guys taking this journey with us and understanding how we put together healthy buildings. And hopefully you've been able to take something away from this that you can use in your own practice to do the same.
Thank you.